Hello and welcome to Neuro Mentoring. We're so glad you could join us. I'm Lucy,
And I'm Brian.
and together we explore what mentoring is in these neurodiverse spaces we call universities. Today's topic is, what is mentoring?
Oh, one of those really, really big questions that hopefully we've got some idea, but I think I'm still happy after all these years to be wrong. Now, this does come with the caveat. Lucy, how many times have we talked about mentoring already?
Virtually every episode.
And we say every episode, even though you're out there getting this first, we've recorded 11 of them together. And we're going to come back and do this first one, partly because we think it needed redoing, but mainly because the recording wasn't particularly brilliant.
No.
It was. We've learned so much over the last year, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, it might work for somebody that can understand Dalek speak because that's how it translated. But otherwise,
Well, we're going to start with this really big question. And Lucy, I'm going to chuck it over to you. What would your definition of mentoring be? How would you sum it up? The thing that you do, the thing that you love?
okay. Mentoring is taking somebody under your wing,
Yeah.
providing them with the strategies, tools,
Yeah.
the safe space for them to communicate,
Yeah.
and to work towards things that they want to achieve in life. It doesn't always mean goals. Sometimes it just means, okay, I need to do something sooner and I don't know how to do this. This is a very problem-solving role, very, very rewarding. And for me, it's all the pastoral bits of teaching that I love, but I get to do it all day and I get to help lots of different people. This is a very emotional explanation of what mentoring is. Mentoring for me is taking somebody under your wing, showing them the tools, the strategies, the ways to do things, the things that are going to help them achieve the things they want to achieve, but also being there for the bumps in the road on the way.
I'm loving this relational context that you give to mentoring, that first of all, it is about someone who has been there and done that. And that is where I think the expertise is, but not in the very patriarchal sense, making sure that everybody is safe and warm, rather than we know what the answer is, we'll do it together. That's not mentoring. It is this being in the same place and doing the things together with people. And then is the idea about sharing the strategies. Now, we're lucky as specialist mentors in universities. We hear different ways of doing what it means to be a student from different students. And we can connect these people together and connect these ideas together to hopefully develop a way and a rapport which allows not just surviving, but the last part that you were talking about, that bit of thriving or flourishing, having that idea out there that we can get to, and somehow together with these lovely mentors that we have in our lives or the mentees that we have in our lives to actually get there. Now, how do we become the best version of ourselves? There's a lovely piece of research about specialist mentoring that goes back, it must be out Lucas et al. 2017 or so. And it's talking to lots of particular mentors in a setting. And there's this mentor that just sits there and goes, what I want is for my mentees to be the best mentees that they can be. And that stuck with me because I was the mentor that was being asked there. And yeah, this is weird thing sometimes in research. You come across your own thoughts and you think, no, I'm just reinforcing what I'm saying. But I still think I'm right. There's this, how do you help people to flourish, these goal-centered stuff? I do like that the whole taking under the wing. What I don't like, and which is glad that you didn't use, was the word protege. We come across protege.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of mentoring's history is linked in with the business community. So particularly in the sort of maybe 50s and 60s, you start getting this word of mentor. And it usually means predominantly a male member of staff taking a younger lad underneath their arm to teach them the skills to get the job done within work. I'm not sure that's the kind of mentoring. Well, actually, I know that's not the kind of mentoring that goes on across the UK, particularly specialist mentoring in higher education. I know that there's something very different that goes on. What we see, at least my research has found, that mentors work with mentees to get mentees to confront and change the institutions that they're part of. Universities are lovely, but I've not found a perfect one yet. Every one of them needs a student just to chip away, just to make it better for the next generation. And mentorship is part of that. whether that's actually the formal mentorship that we have for, it's now autism and ADHD and mental health as three different prongs to the DSA for. But also there's a lot of mentoring that goes in. So mentoring is teaching. So lots of teachers get to mentor as a member of staff that they can go through while they develop their craft. Really good way of doing it. I have a question for you. What,
Okay.
yeah, what brought you to mentoring? I mean, you're now an experienced mentor. You're, are you CEO of Bridge Mentoring? I don't know. You're queen of Bridge Mentoring.
One of two queens, actually.
Two queens.
Actually
Yes.
speaking here, my own mentor
Whoa.
was the first space
Yeah.
where somebody took me under their wing, provided me instantly with some urgent practical support, went above and beyond in finding me support, supporting me through my master's course, because unfortunately, as a late diagnosed person, I didn't even know I had all of this support available. And it was only on my master's degree that I actually accessed it. And she was wonderful. She she helped me grow as a person. It was the first session you've got in my head. I was in a really rough place and she just puked me up. Bear in mind I'm talking virtually. And I felt like things were gonna be okay within that first session.
And that's the absolute genius of mentors that can do that. There is something about saying things will be okay, and actually things can be better. Somebody years ago accused me of weaponizing optimism. If we can work within this space and actually say, yeah, these are the things that way they are, and yeah, we'll help you survive. But more than that, we'll help you thrive. We'll be
Yeah.
alongside you as you do that wonderful stuff. Now, mentoring itself, do you want a brief history of mentoring?
I think we owe the listeners a
Yeah,
brief
brief.
introduction to what mentoring is, given this whole podcast is about
Yeah.
mentoring.
Okay. Maybe I'll work backwards. So we're talking about this sort of specialist autism mentoring, which has become specialist ADHD mentoring, and the specialist mental health mentoring that kind of sits alongside us. I mean, they are two fairly separate things. I think mental health does stopping relapse. You don't want to stop a relapse of autism.
Well,
Yeah.
interestingly, Brian, up until I think it was 2023, support for ADHD came under the mental health mentoring.
Good.
And it's only in recent times that the ADHD mentoring, if you've got a diagnosis of ADHD, you actually see an autism mentor rather than a mental health.
So I'm seeing this in some of the ADHD research that comes across my desk, is that there is now a shift from ADHD coming under the medical model because there was medicine involved to trying to find its way into the social model. And one of the lovely things that the ADHD community is talking about is actually having a deficit and a disorder in the name. It isn't the best thing. So there's some other wording that's coming up, like vast variable attention stimulus trait. It's part of a way of being, and it's about having attention that drops and lands on different things. The other bit that some of the current research I'm doing, I do stuff into perceptual capacity in autism. Autistic people hearing more, seeing more, sensing more, seeing more beautifulness in the world, but also seeing more ugliness in the world, and how do you navigate that? And for part of that, we're looking to see if that's specific to autism. And so we send out these things to the autistic community and the ADHD community. And I will say, I've sent out yesterday 200 invites, and I got all the data through. And of that 200 invites, maybe 30 people were autistic without ADHD traits, and
Yeah.
maybe another 30 people were ADHD without autistic traits. And almost everybody else was actually somewhere in the middle. So that's very preliminary kind of stuff. But yeah, the all ADHD, I think, is going to be the next big challenge. But that's not getting back in history, is it? So
No.
if we nip back to maybe there wasn't a autism movement out there and going. There wasn't a neurodiversity movement there and going. There wasn't mentoring support, particularly within universities, as a provision. But mentoring existed as a way of rebalancing injustice. So throughout the 90s in particular, mentoring became part of the feminist toolkit. Actually, women mentoring women to actually help them grow and flourish in the business world. if you look at the late 80s, you actually find black business folk working with black business folk to actually bring on and try and bring some sort of justice to that hideous racism, what was going on in the late 80s. If you go back to the 70s, it's even worse. And maybe we as mentors are part of that tradition, that we're bringing together something that is a social good. That, we may go with our students day to day and we're alongside them during their wonderful joys. But actually, part of our role is to change the world for a better place.
It's such a creative role as well.
The world needs creative solutions.
Absolutely. And for each different student, you are a different version of the mentor. Even though you might have the same, I call it a toolkit of strategies, you adapt, you change, you mold, you remodel strategies that have worked for other people in the past. But actually, I can't say in the 5 years I've been doing this that I have had the same approach with any two students.
And this multiplicity of approaches that also has a bit of, shall we say, a leadership component to it.
Yeah.
Actually, that's where you find in the 1950s ideas of mentoring, particularly in things like the armed forces. It was about how to make officers. In fact, going back even further, go back to the Victorian period, the original mentor was a Greek myth. I'll talk about him in a second. But there was a poet called Alfred Lord Tennyson who wrote a rewriting of Odysseus, Ulysses. But in that, he says mentor was there to help Telemachus, Odysseus' son, grow into offices of tenderness. That there's something maybe that we're doing, which is to create offices, either the places where people work, or that position and role of being into charge, having your own office of tenderness. And it is one of those things that if we can create, support, inspire compassionate folk, then maybe in all our different mentoring roles, we're doing the right kind of thing. Offices of tenderness.
And
Just a lovely, lovely phrase.
yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to know a little bit more about the myths? If you sit down to read Homer's Odyssey, you will find Odysseus leaves Telemachus behind as a young and slightly useless kid to look after the entire city-state. And Mentor, which is his name, is given there as an old wise figure to help Telemachus become this ruler that he can be. I will tell you, Mentor is, and excuse my language, a bit shit as a mentor. He is in the original one. I think there are 3 occasions where Mentor is inhabited by Athena, the goddess of wisdom. The goddess of wisdom herself, her and her owl become Mentor to help guide Telemachus at critical points. The rest of the time, Mentor lets the entire city dissolve into chaos, particularly Odysseus' wife's suitors, that they come and that they make an absolute mess of things. But there are times where the goddess of wisdom sits upon Mentor. The lovely bit is there's also one occasion where the goddess turns up as seagulls. Basically, we are only worth 3 seagulls. The wisdom is found in different places, and it doesn't.
An interesting currency.
Yeah.
An owl to 3 seagulls.
I think it should now be the sort of metric that we use of mental. How effective are you? At the moment, I'm working at 0.29 of a seagull. It's just a very basic metric.
I'm really into, so there's a really great AI, just sort of going off on a tangent here, talking about how good you are at something.
For those people who will be listening to the rest of the series, we go off at tangents at a regular basis.
Yeah.
AI. Tell me.
So there's an AI resource, shall we call it, called Godlin.tools. We're not sponsored by them, but I think it's brilliant. And any student that likes AI, I absolutely signpost it to them. It's got some fantastic features on it. If you're somebody who struggles with executive functioning difficulties, there's a great magic to do function. So I could put in, if I was a student, mum and dad come in to visit, my room is a mess. Then you click on a button and then you set your spiciness with how much help you need. So a little bit like the whole Nando system, moving up with colours. But apart from the more skills you have, the more broken down you need the step-by-step to-do list.
Yeah.
You click the magic button and it will break everything up from hoover your room, let security know, put your laundry away, and it breaks it down. I mean, there's lots of other features on it. But talking specifically about how you rate yourself, I quite like the chili model. How spicy are you?
And actually, I love those kind of models because that can change during the day. There are
Yes.
some days where, I know I'm functioning on full lemon herb version.
Yeah.
The world around me is, I've done a huge job over the last 50 years or so, creating worlds around me where I can focus with my own particularly neurodivergent attitude. And so I will sometimes find myself working quite happily at very, very mild version that the worst thing that'll happen to me, just so everyone knows, I'm an A fan. I've got no pictures in my head and I don't have much of a memory. But actually, there are some things where my life is structured, so it's giving me what I need to know as I go. There are other times where, because under stress, my brain goes absolutely blank. I need to crank up the chili dial, the spicy dial. Question for you.
Yes.
If there is neuro spicy, does this
Mm.
mean out there that we have neuro vanilla people?
Well, I don't think we should discriminate at this point, Brian.
Right. And I would like to say, what's wrong with vanilla as a flavour?
Nothing. And if we're going by the Nando scale,
Yeah.
I never ever stray from lemon and herb.
No,
No way.
no. And actually, if we're talking about neuro vanilla, it's kind of like it's a flavour that no one would choose. Yeah.
I'm surprised at the people in my sort of my immediate community that love vanilla.
Oh,
Raspberry Ripple all the way.
yeah.
Well, like my partner, his favourite is vanilla.
Yeah.
He loves plain vanilla ice cream.
If we talk about neuro vanilla, the only way that I can stomach neuro vanilla is if I suddenly realise a person also has chocolate dinosaur chunks in.
Oh yes, or caramel choo choo, caramel little buttons that you
Oh,
get in
crunchy,
the Ben and
crunchy.
Jerry's.
Yeah. I've had these chats with you for ages, and we do this great job of inverting paradigms.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, an autistic way of being, a neurodivergent way of being, an ADHD role, it's far more interesting in the world. It may come with its
100%.
challenges. And if we can change the world to be, this neurodiverse paradise at some point, where diversity is just normalized, we don't have to
Well,
fight anymore. Yeah.
where you were talking earlier
Yeah.
about noticing, all that was in my head is the art of noticing.
Yeah.
And very recently, I've become aware of how I watch things.
Yeah.
So I've got a massive oak tree that has burst into life in the last sort of 2 months. And I have loved watching the tree just burst into life. And then when it's windy, watching the leaves glitter.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that I'm one of these people that doesn't have very much saved in my photos other than maybe my pug. I am a girl who loves taking pictures of the sky. I love watching trees move in the wind. I'm very lucky to live in an incredibly green area with some incredibly old site with spiritual connotations. And I notice like how the stones are rippled and I wonder how they've formed that shape. And it was only until recently when I was listening to a podcast talking about the art of noticing, I noticed everything visually.
And it's the number of people that don't notice the things.
I feel
That's
sad.
where-
I feel sad for them.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that. Well, there's a way of engaging with a richness to the world. And sometimes the mentoring room is the only place for students where they can talk about this richness of experience. And
I think also for some people, certainly with me, when I was a student, you're the first person that's not mum or dad
yeah,
that's going to give them, and you're not proxy parenting either.
well,
However, you're somebody that leads the way, signpost. Why don't you try this? Give this a go. And you facilitate their own exploration of things. And I think that is the most beautiful thing of the mentoring role.
oh, it is. And I think that's why it's slightly different from a coaching role.
Oh, very different.
Okay, Lucy, would you like to have a stab at what the difference between coaching and mentoring is?
So coaching is goal orientated, which is more about the focus is getting there. But actually, I think mentoring is the journey.
It is. That is the journeying along. It's the wisdom involved in it.
It's the learning. It's the making mistakes. It's the trying new things. It's the willingness. Because any good mentor will explain to a mentee as much as I could give you all the strategy. You have got to go away and try some of them and see what works for you. And I'm never going to stop coming up with different things. But a mentee has to meet a mentor and has to want to be supported. Coaching is very much
learn the skill.
Learn the skill, do it, you've achieved it, well done. Mentoring is more about the celebration of the journey and the growth of the
I'm
person.
going to get my names wrong at this point. The first ever person to be referred to as a coach was William Hodgson or Hodgkins. Yeah. Do double check that if you're listening in. And he was the senior wrangler maker at Cambridge University in what, 16th, 17th century or so. He was paid to pull students across the mathematics exam finish line. And that's where coaching comes from. It's that carrying a student through and past the exams. We do a little bit of that coaching at times, but I don't think it's our major role. I think we are more of the classical tradition of mentor from Ulysses himself. That whole goes on adventure alongside a student and sometimes makes our mistakes along there as well. There's a lovely picture in, I think it's Andrew Jackson, who used to be a president of the US. He created a place called the Hermitage where he can meet people. I don't understand that. But in his Hermitage, he's got this picture of Mentor throwing Telemachus off of a cliff to escape from the naughty nymphs that are chasing them. It's just brilliant. There's this kind of, oh, we've got into trouble. You don't want to jump off the cliff. Time to jump. I'll jump next. And it's this wonderful sort of portrayal of the danger of mentoring and how, it's a risky thing to be doing. It's not a simple, straightforward task.
There's no framework, is there?
Oh,
I was just sitting here as you
yeah.
were talking, and in the sense of with teaching, you've got a cohort, you've got a curriculum, you've got a goal to meet, you've got to get said cohort from A to B. Whereas mentoring is much more holistic.
It's
Like you say, you walk alongside that person, support them.
it's a relationship that allows wisdom to grow. That it's not about, coaches give them skills, teachers give them knowledge, mentors give wisdom, which is making that decision about when to use your knowledge and when to use your skills
Yes.
and which direction you want it to go. It's that advocacy of being a person, which is why, so my thesis, I created what is called a framework of reframing, which isn't actually about what we do as a mentor, but actually what is it we need as people, the values that we need to inhabit in ourselves, the things we need as mentors to be able to confidently cover, so that when a student brings it to us, we can go, yeah, well, let's talk about the neurodiversity paradigm. Yeah, let's talk about being able to collect meds at university. Yeah, let's talk about what to do on a second date. Those big things that we talk through.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we've got to have a little bank that we're ready for them, so we don't do the askance face when somebody where somebody just telling me, oh, this is just so much out of my experience. Let's go and find out about it together. That takes me to the last part of what I think makes great mentors, is our humility.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that I don't know. I know that I don't know the individual's experience. I know that
And
university is a stupid place.
I think you've got to show, again, it's not a teacher and someone else being taught.
No.
It's having the humility to say, do you know what? I don't know very much about this, but let me go away. Let me find out and we'll explore it together. Or you signpost.
And in this spirit of not knowing and signposting, just going to do a quick signpost for the next few episodes. So episode 2, when you tune in, we're going to talk about, and I can never say the word, holisticity.
Holisticity.
The whole fact that mentoring covers everything, covers human experience. Yeah. After that, we're going to talk about, is it double empathy problem?
Yes, mentoring and the double empathy problem.
Do you want to do a quick stab at what the double empathy problem is now, just as a teaser?
The discord between the communication styles of a neurodivergent person versus, for want of a better phrase, the communication style of the neurotypical world.
Yeah.
And the lack of understanding from either party.
Yeah. I love the word discord. It's like two folk are together and they're trying to play on a piano together, and suddenly the notes aren't meshing up because one or other of them that doesn't get the other. So double empathy problem, we'll do a whole episode on that. Then breaks and burnouts. And that's for mentors as well as students. We are beautifully human and fragile. And on the back of that, we'll do an episode on rest. Oh,
The 5 types. Was it 5 or 7 types
7
of rest?
types. Yeah, you taught me this one. It was physical, mental,
Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
sensory, creative.
Yes.
There we go. We'll do that. We're going to talk an episode about remote studenting and remote mentoring and how to do these wonderful things called Zoom. Then we've got several episodes on tech. Lucy, why do we have several episodes on tech?
Because we're both a pair of tech geeks.
Because we geeked out so bad. Then I think we start to wrap things up with talking about special interests.
Yeah. And we have a guest speaker on
We
that
do.
episode.
We do. Sarah King will be joining us. Sarah is absolutely fantastic. So come and join us if you want to skip through to episode 9 and come back for a special interest. That was a really lovely one to do. Then we do stuff that I personally struggle with, which is boundaries. I never quite know where to put them. I prefer to be compassionate and wrong. We talk about the ebb and the flow of the mentoring year. For anyone who's established in this job, we know that there are crunch points, things when things really stack up and things where time is a little easier, how we use the easy time to prepare for the hard time. And then I think we end up with our responsibility to reflect,
Yes.
to practice. Do you have any thoughts for the next series? Lucy, I really hope there's going to be a next series. Do
Oh,
send
there
me
is.
your
There's got to be. I
Yeah.
love having these discussions.
Oh, they're brilliant. So I'm going to wrap up, and we wrap up usually with the same phrase, and we just go, thank you, Lucy.
Thanks, Brian.
If you have any questions, we'd love to hear them at neuromentoringpodcast@gmail.com.
This has been Neuro Mentoring.
Be
Be
brilliant.
brilliant.
Yeah.